Hey guys, welcome to the Breakout Podcast. My name is Madeline, and today we have Brittany with us. It's great to have you on today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, can you give us a little background about what you do?
So, I'm a college student. Right now, I'm studying business administration. I'll be transferring. I went to community college for 2 years. And before I did community college, I started my own pet sitting business. I have an entrepreneur background. I'm coming on here today to talk about some awesome stuff, some networking with you. I'm so excited.
Awesome. So, why'd you decide to start your pet sitting business?
It came out of a need, to understand. So for me, when I, was going through college, I was going through my beginner general education classes, and I was having a hard time applying myself because I didn't understand the purpose behind them. And so for me, I'm all about intention and purpose. And because I didn't understand the need to go through these general education classes, I was reached out to the community around me, and they were asking me to pet sit and just come over and house sit. And my parents were very encouraging, and they were like, "Brittany, just make this a full-time thing, just go full head and just throw yourself in it." And so I said, "Okay, like I'm gonna do it." So I took the leap and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do this full time." So I paused. I just took a semester off, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna do it." I made a logo. I did a website, the full whole professional era, and I'm so grateful I did because I feel that understanding to say, okay, like now I understand where I'm going. Because before I was missing that piece. So now that I started the business, I went to back to community college, and I was like, okay, like I get it. I see where the application comes from. And thankfully I'm transferring now and moving on forward. So I'm so grateful for the business, my clients, everything I've learned, and it's been super awesome.
I love that. That's amazing. So, how did you start networking as a young person in order to grow your business?
So for me, I guess it also came out of a need to like grow and learn and have some knowledge. Like you, I am very interested in talking to people in their profession and understanding where they gain their success and where they gain their motivation. Because when you see people who are excelling in their industry, like you, I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, tell me where's the secret sauce? Like, where do you understand like, hey, this is for me and I want to continue to do this? So networking came to me because honestly, I was in the chiropractor office and I was like, you know what? I just feel like I should just look up networking. So I looked up networking in my area and I came across East Bay Business Exchange I'm in the Bay Area, and I put in an application and it just took off from there. And I joined, and I'm so grateful because that was my foundation to fully integrate myself into the networking community. And I'm now part of like a women's networking group, and I just join networking groups and communities every now and then. And it's been exponential in my growth as an individual.
That's amazing. I love that so much. How did you overcome the fear of being a young person going into the networking space?
Oh, well, I think you have to approach it at you're not young. I go in and I know who I am, I know what I'm there for, and everyone's there for the same purpose. So we're all there when you're in a networking group, we're all there to connect. So when you step over that hurdle of like, oh, like I'm scared, like I don't know what's gonna happen, like do they care? Do they not? Like when you get over that hurdle, like because we're all there for the same purpose, it allows you to be put on the same level. So versus like, oh, they're above me, and instead, you're like, oh, we're here all to connect. Like, that's the purpose. So when you go into networking events with purpose and intention, the fear just kind of floats away. But I will say, like, when I was initially going into networking events, it was very intimidating. I had a hard time articulating, but you got to push forward. In order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. So the more I've done it, the more comfortable you get, and the more comfortable you get in your skin as well. It's been so awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Mhm.
You really just have to kind of set everything aside and just go for it and stop thinking that you're less of something.
Mhm.
Because in the networking space, we all are equal individuals.
Mhm. Yep.
How are you able to provide value to people like your mentors or people you do meet?
So for me, because I'm going into these networking events as my business is a professional pet sitting business. So initially, the number one thing is saying, hey, here's my business. If you have clients or referrals, or if you know someone that is interested in pet sitting, I'm that person for you. I can provide value for you. But additional to that, I go in with the intention of, hey, I'm here to learn and grow. I am a young professional, but I'm still here to learn. So are you willing to share and provide value to my life? And a lot of times people love to give and people love to share knowledge. So when you go to people and say, hey, I really want to learn from you because I see you succeeding. Would you be willing to meet with me and share that knowledge so that I can grow as a professional? And more times than not, people are 100% willing to do that. So when you say add value, number one, I add value in my business just because of what my business is. And number two, you add value because you're showing people you care and you want to learn. So that's a big piece of it.
I've had that same experience going in, like a lot of people always do want to give, and there are a lot of people in these like higher up positions that get to a certain point where they just want to help other people out at this rate.
Mhm.
It's pretty
Absolutely.
cool. So why did you end up going back to school if you did go down an entrepreneurial path? Like nowadays, so many people, especially on like TikTok, Instagram, all of that, they're like, quit going to school, quit your education, just become an entrepreneur. Like, don't be caught in the rat race.
I think for me, I've always had a vision to continue my education. I really value growing in that way and having that degree. To me, it shows not that you have to have that degree, but to me, it shows that continued pace. And that's the pace that I want to be on. So for me, that's my vision, that's my goal. So I'm going to go and continue that. But additional to that, I want to be in the educational sphere. So I want to be around people that are driven and that want to continue to grow in their education. So in that realm, college is the best place to be. So now that I've had these 2 years in community college and now I'm transferring, I'm coming and I've done networking. So I'm coming in with this whole other mindset and worldview that I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go and hit the ground running. So to me, like it's always something that I wanted to continue to do. The entrepreneur, like my business has been the foundation of me continuing my motivation in where I want to be in life. So it's like the stepping stone for me. And for other people, it may be something different, but for me, it was that.
Mhm. Yeah, I was the same way. Like, I've always been in more of an entrepreneurial, like, job setting, I guess. Like, ever since a kid, I was always trying to start little businesses. And, like, even when I was 15 or 16, I, like, bought a vending machine and started a vending machine business. And
It's
for the
awesome.
longest time, I didn't want to go back to school. And then I realized that I did value education. I did
Mm-hmm.
want to go back to school. It's cool that you do talk about that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how do you put on a professional image? Like, do you dress the part, bring business cards or anything like that?
Absolutely. So I would say look good, feel good. So for me, not just in networking. So when I know I'm a professional pet sitting business, but when I meet my clients for the first time, I always provide a free meet and greet. It's something so that they can get to know me and I can get to know their pets. But when I show up to the door, they might be expecting, just normal clothes. But when I show up to my clients, I show up with intention. I'm showing up in a professional attire, everything top to bottom, even the shoes. And I'm saying, hey, I have my little notepad, and I'm saying to my clients, hey, I'm here to show up
Yeah.
with intention and success. So when you're hiring me for Critter Sitter, I'm here to give you the care you deserve, and that's being shown in the way I dress. So that's I love sharing that because typically when they open their door, like, well, you're gonna get pet hair everywhere. I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, that's totally fine with me. So when you talk about dressing up, it's dressing up for success. It's being prepared for success. So always carrying business cards. Sometimes I have a little QR code because, we got to keep it um normal to QR codes are awesome. People are always super shocked that I have them, but it's a good way to go about it. So you have the QR codes and the business cards and the professional attire, but it's just showing up prepared. When you show up prepared, people are like, okay, she means business. And so it's the same thing in the way you carry yourself throughout life. So it's being aware of that and continuing that.
Yeah, putting on that professional image is super important.
Hmm.
Um, so how do you find balance between socializing and then also having a career and being in school?
Well, I would say for me, prioritizing what you need. School, before I started going back to school, my business was my number one priority. So that was like full time, like this is everything. I'm putting my all into it. And then when I started back in school, it was okay, school, the business, then friends, and things like that. So it's being able to either in your head or on paper write down what that means for you, and then to scale it out and say, okay, this is where we're at. And so when people invite you to go hang out or do things like, hey, I've got clients, I've got my school, I don't really have time for that. But then when you do have time, you work that in. So for example, like every Sunday, I do a spike ball like event. So I love spike ball. So I make sure to put it in. I have my fun time, my free time. So making sure to add that in, and that's gonna really enlighten you, and it charges me up. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for the week. I got my social environment and I gotta keep going. So to schedule it in is something I would say as well.
That's so much fun. I think social interaction is so important too. It's pretty important to have a balance. Like
Mhm.
people do say just isolate, but I think it's pretty important. That's so cool that you're doing a spike ball thing.
Mhm.
I love that. Where do you find all these networking events to go to or like get people to join the spike ball game each week?
So I would say for networking, so search it up on Google is number one thing. I would say, share your location with Google and just say, hey, networking events near me. And it'll come up with people in your area and you just go and sign up. And a lot of times it'll be, hey, are there people in your industry already? And in my case, there was no one in the pet sitting industry, so I was able to fill that role. And you can also go to apps like there's sometimes like Meetup is an app that you can go on, and there's some networking like social hours that you can go to. And then for that's what I say for networking is how you can source it out. And also there's a lot of times where you can go when you meet people and you get along with them and you build a relationship, you can say, hey, if you're going to an event and you need a plus one, I'd love to join you. And so when you build that rapport with people, they can be like, all right, I'll bring you along. So that's another way you can learn more about networking events as well. In terms of the San Rose Spike Ball, it's all marketing. So, which I love marketing, but it's like Instagram posts, reels, just showing people that we're out here having a good time, and everyone's welcome. We're all just here to have fun and build a community, and it's been super awesome to build that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any advice for people that used to be in your position of not knowing what to do?
Take the step. Just take the step. Once you take the first step, everything just keeps going on from there. And I would say for you, like you took that first step. So I'm gonna ask you, like, how was that for you and how are you feeling now moving forward?
Honestly, I it was like when I took my first step, I it was pretty late at night. It was like 2 a.m. and I was just kind of like, I'm gonna start a podcast. And so I
Mhm.
just like designed a logo and was messaging a bunch of people on LinkedIn. Was
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm gonna start a podcast. Like, can
Mhm.
you be on my podcast? And so then suddenly it just kind of like developed into a thing. And now once I started, it's kind of hard to quit something because I am one of those people that wants to finish it.
Mhm.
And it's been a really cool experience so far because I get to meet a lot of cool people and network with them.
Mhm. And I feel like at the end of the day here, what's super important is that networking is building relationships and connections. There's a professional business aspect to it, but in my opinion, networking is just connecting. So
Yep.
when you meet people, strangers on the street, guess what? I'm networking. So you can pull out networking, you can pull out networking wherever you want. So it's about how you frame the it doesn't look so scary, right? So if you think about it and you want to take that first step, it's like, well, I'm already networking. I meet people all the time. So it's like but it's in a more professional setting, but still, you know what? You're already doing it, just it's at a different level. So anyone can do it. When you take the veil away, it's like, oh, okay, I can definitely do that. So it's more encouraging in that way as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely is. Like everywhere I go, I like a lot of people in my apartment building are super cool. And so I've started talking to them more. And
Mhm.
I do try to make a point to be friendly to people. Even though
Mhm.
I am in the Northeast, people aren't that friendly, but being friendly to them has definitely helped me out. And like one person that I've been like super nice to a lot of the time, it turns out he has a podcast on business as well. So it's pretty cool how that stuff works out.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah. So how do you ask someone to be your mentor? Have you ever like literally asked them, or do they just end up becoming your mentor?
So I typically don't ask. There was one time I did search out for it. A nonprofit called Score Mentor, and I did search and like look for a mentor for my business because I was looking for some help in sales. And so I did set that up where we had weekly meetings and we had goals and we set that up. But where I am now in my life, I've transitioned out of that and more it's come naturally. A lot of times when you meet people and you have these connections, it's understanding like where their strengths are. So I got off the phone yesterday with someone who does consulting and they're in marketing. So I'm venturing into that realm. So I can call them up and say, hey, so and so, I'm really interested in how you move in the consulting area. Do you have any advice? What does that look like to you? So in that way, like they're mentoring me. So right. So it's continuing to look for those opportunities to connect with individuals and say, hey, I see that you're really successful in this. I'm about to enter that realm or I'm in that realm. Can we talk about what that looks like to you? Do you have any advice to share? And so I would say a lot of times it just comes naturally when I'm looking for mentors at this point.
That's super cool. I'm so proud of you for just like putting yourself out there. It's really cool to see another like young person. I know you already said like don't think of it as you're young, but it can be so challenging, like
Mhm.
because at this age people still do care about themselves, and the image they're perceived as.
I would say the big thing is as you continue to move in life and as you grow as a professional, just understand and ask yourself who do you want to be and where do you see yourself and how do you want to carry yourself. So when you look at other individuals and you say, "Oh my gosh, like I see the way they carry themselves," and you look at them and say, "Okay, I'm going to carry myself in that way." So when I carry myself, you carry yourself with confidence because you know who you are and you know where you want to be. So it's all about intention. So the biggest thing, especially when you're networking with people, so when I pick up the phone, I'm not picking up the phone to call someone just cause. I'm picking up and coming in with intention. And when you're connecting with individuals with intention, they're like, yeah, absolutely. If you have something you want to say, you have a goal you want to meet, and you're calling me, then I'm going to give you an answer. And so again, when you take away that veil, it makes it a little easier, right? So, but we get so caught up in that veil. We're like, we're all in our head and everything. But at the end of the day, people really just want to share and connect. And that's at the end of the day, all networking is about. So it's super awesome.
For sure. That's good advice. So I ask this in all my podcasts, and there's no right or wrong answer, but what do you define success as?
I would say success to me, which is a really great question. I'm going to encourage individuals to continue to write down and develop what success is to you. Because success changes for me as I've grown, but because I've really thought about it, to me, success is taking care of my mind, body, health, um, and everything about who I am. Taking care of me, mind, body, health, wealth, things like that. That to me is success. If I can make sure that I'm being taken care of, I can push forward to other successes that I want to have in life, other goals. But number one, my foundation is myself. If I'm taking care of myself and being honest with where I am in my place, then I can be successful in every other realm in my life. So to me, that's really what success is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Mhm.
I think that taking care of your personal health can go
Mhm.
unnoticed a lot of the time, and it's hard because you don't get like instant satisfaction from doing small things like going to the gym or doing like daily hygiene. But over the long term, building those skills does help you and it helps your mental health out as well.
If you and talk about carrying yourself well, like if you know that you're loving yourself, you're caring for yourself, you're doing everything you can to put yourself in a good place, caring for yourself like your best friend, like any other person in your life. If you're doing that for yourself, I see that in the way I talk to other people. You know what I mean? So it transitions, especially when you're networking, is like you carry that with you. It's like I'm doing really well because I've taken care of myself and I've loved myself. And guess what? Now that I've loved myself, I can love others well. And I mean, I love networking because you can connect and just build these really awesome relationships. That loving yourself well, then you can love others well. And it's about like pouring your cup, right? If you pour in yourself, then you can pour into others.
Hmm.
And just like people are pouring into you, understand that now you get to pour into others into the future. And so to me, it's like I know that these people that are sharing to me, I get to share to others in the future. So it's a beautiful like circle, and that's the way I really think about it.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Well, those are all my questions I have for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I'll be linking Brittany's LinkedIn down below, and I can also link your pet sitting business down below. Thank you so much for watching today, y'all.